Welcome to another edition of Let's Play WWE 2015. We are now 1 week away from the WWE Network special that will be our final stop on the road to WrestleMania, as we are 2 weeks away from the big event, or 3 weeks away from the big event, live on the WWE Network and a small number of pay-per-view providers from Levi's Stadium. It's WrestleMania 31. And things are going to keep heating up as we get closer to the big event at the beginning of April. But before that, we have tonight's show and SmackDown, and also the network special over the weekend to get to before then. So let's get to it right now. So now we kick off the show. As you remember, it's been hyped up for about a week. Mr. McMahon would be appearing on Raw to address what the hacker said last week. And Mr. McMahon makes his entrance and says, "I am sick and tired of this. And now the hacker is making threats to me. I'm Vince McMahon, damn it. Nobody threatens me. You want to threaten my show? You want to make promises about WrestleMania? I am Vince McMahon. I created WrestleMania. Nobody makes threats. You, Mr. Hacker, need to make promises. If you want to make an impact in this company, make a promise that you will not back down, and somehow, some way, whatever you have planned will happen at WrestleMania, and I'll make sure of it, because I'll be in this ring on that night, and I will make sure that whoever or whatever you have planned happens." Out of nowhere, Vince is interrupted, and out comes David Otunga, and David Otunga starts up saying what he said last week. "Mr. McMahon, I know you don't like being interrupted. I know that you are a very busy man, but I have the utmost respect for you, Mr. McMahon, and I want to say this, that you fear what the Ascension could be, because you didn't create him. Your son-in-law, Triple H, did. And because of that, you fear losing control of your company. Vince, you fear losing control of your company because you know the Ascension could lead the WWE into a new era for tag team wrestling, being a dominant force, the likes that WWE has not seen in decades, or maybe even ever, because there has never been a tag team more dominant than the Ascension, and look at what they did in NXT for proof of that." David, you're right about one thing. I don't like being interrupted. So if all your point was to say that I fear someone, then you need to get out of my ring. Otherwise you will not have a job. And maybe, just maybe, you and your group won't have a job. Because I am Vince McMahon, and I am your boss, damn it. So get out of my ring, or I will fire you. Otunga makes his way out backstage as we head to commercial break, and when we come back, we head to our first match of the night, Dolph Ziggler versus Damien Sandow. And Dolph Ziggler gets the victory, but post-match, we see Zack Ryder make his way down to the ring. and get in an argument with Damien Sandow. Seemingly, he's arguing with Sandow about the fact that Sandow lost to Ziggler. I don't really understand this, but what I do know is that Zack has had problems with Dolph for the last couple of weeks, and it seems as though those problems are just getting started, because now he's arguing with the people that Dolph gets in the ring with. Now we head back to the ring with Samoa Joe up against Ken Doane, and I guess you could say this is Joe's second, or this is a tune-up match for Joe heading into his match against Jericho at WrestleMania. Now we head to Michael Cole and his cohorts as they discuss what we saw earlier tonight and how Vince McMahon reacted to the Hacker's remarks last week on Raw, and how since November the Hacker has been interrupting a variety of WWE television and playing mind games with Mr. McMahon and his family. And yet we still do not know who the Hacker is or why he hasn't shown up yet. But there's a very good possibility we will be finding out soon. Otunga is strategizing backstage with Connor and Victor about how they have the odds stacked against them and they need to prove to management that they are as good as they say they are. So now we head to the next match, and it is the Ascension versus the Lucha Dragons, and Connor and Victor get the victory over Sin Cara and Kalisto as the ascension of the Ascension continues. No pun intended. Now following the match, Byron gets in the ring and asks David how exactly he believes that management is putting the odds against the Ascension. And David goes into lawyer mode and provides the evidence.
When is Ryan coming? Tomorrow? Because he's working tonight? Oh,
no, later tonight. Yeah, for me. Use NXT as evidence of how good these two are. And that should be enough of a reason to see why they're misusing them here. And then out comes Sheamus and Bad News Barrett, who have a heated confrontation with the Ascension as Bad News and Sheamus are trying to leave Rob Van Dam behind and move forward into the tag team title picture as we head to WrestleMania in the first week of April. Now, the next thing is Shelton Benjamin. You remember last week, Justin Gabriel went one-on-one with The Miz for the Intercontinental title. Well, I figured, let's get Shelton Benjamin some wins and maybe let him be next for the Intercontinental title. Also, by the way, I thought of it first. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you didn't see SmackDown this week, and you don't know that Shelton Benjamin is actually making his return within the next couple of weeks to WWE. But I thought of it first. Because Benjamin has been here since, I want to say January or December or something like that. But either way, I thought of it first. So, yeah. And now is when Benjamin's push starts up once again, as one win can do that. Now we head into the ring as Goldust calls out his brother. He talks about how Stardust said that he was ready to face his brother and whoever was brought out to the ring with him without question. But when Stardust gets called out, he doesn't respond to Goldust. And instead, Ric Flair makes his way out to the ring. And this segment gets real personal because Flair talks about how he's been one of Dusty's best friends for the last 30 years, and how he's seen Goldust and Cody grow up, and how seeing his kids fight would tear their father apart. And this brings out Stardust. Finally, Stardust goes face to face with his brother, but his father isn't present. Nate is. And all Stardust is, Rick, if you think you know our father so well, if you think you know our father so well, then pass this message to him. I am not Cody. Cody is gone. And it's all his fault. And Goldust, you need to back off. Otherwise you'll be gone next. Because you need to make way for the new generation. Speaking of the League of Nations, Bad News and Sheamus go up against D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry, and Bad News and Sheamus come out on top as the point system continues as we head to WrestleMania to find out who will challenge the tag team champions for the titles at the big event. Now we head out. After commercial break, we come back, and Daniel Bryan, Kane, and MVP are standing in the ring, or will come down to the ring, and as expected, they talk about the Wyatt family. And they talk about the problems that they've had with Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, Abyss, and Eric Rowan over the last couple months, and how WrestleMania will change all of that and make all the problems go away, because when they get them in the ring at WrestleMania, it will be different. It won't be Fastlane because there will be no more surprises. It will be different. And then the promo basically ends with Daniel Bryan, with MVP posing a question and Daniel Bryan answering with, yes, yes. But the interest stays at an all-time high because Natty, Cesaro, and Tyson Kidd make their way out to the ring. And they go back and forth about how they may think they're the best trio in this company, but the title for best trio has been taken by Cesaro, Kidd, and Natalya, and has been taken for a very long time. And if you want it, you gotta beat us for it. As a stare down between Team Hell No and the Tag Team Champions commences, and you hear the audience rising up out of their seats, cheering, excited about the prospective idea of seeing Kane and Daniel Bryan team up against Cesaro and Kidd, about how good that match would be. And speaking of that match, oh Jesus, I honestly thought this match was going to be a little bit better, but either way, MVP defeats Tyson Kidd. After, the build-up somewhat, I guess I should have probably taken Kane or Daniel Bryan instead, but I chose MVP. Shame on me. Now we head back to Michael Cole and his cohorts as they discuss the two big feuds other than the world title, that being Seth Rollins and Randy Orton and Kevin Owens and John Cena, and how later tonight we will see Rollins versus Cena and Orton versus Owens. Speaking of that, it's going to be a singles match, as it's not going to be a tag team match. And now we head backstage as the heels talk about their respective matches against the other's opponents at WrestleMania. And how things will shape up in the weeks leading to WrestleMania. Speaking of that, Randy Orton goes against Kevin Owens, and Orton gets the victory against KO. I do realize I could have probably done it the opposite way, but you'll see later why I chose to do it this way. Look, Randy Orton, I think, would be better off not having to learn from a script and just putting his, at this point, 13 years of experience to work, and just cutting a short promo on his match at WrestleMania against Seth Rollins. Because if he can't do that, then maybe, just maybe, somebody needs to take his hand and guide him the rest of the way. Now we head to a fatal four-way, which will... This match basically guarantees somebody a shot against The Miz for the Intercontinental title, and the winner of the fatal four-way is The Big Show. And The Big Show, that means The Big Show will face The Miz on SmackDown. Speaking of The Miz, him and Alex Riley come out to the ring after the break and discuss how unfair it is that a guy like Dean Ambrose could get a title shot, how insulting it is that they think Dean Ambrose is on the same level as The Miz, how a lunatic could be held in the same regard as an A-lister, how a lunatic could be, how a disheveled individual like Ambrose could be held in the same regard as The Miz. Of course, what would a Miz promo be without somebody interrupting him? And it's not just one person, it's two people, and it's Sami Zayn and Dean Ambrose. And that is also why, well, this doesn't lead anywhere but to here. As Stephanie announces next week on Raw, it will be Alex Riley versus Dean Ambrose versus Sami Zayn in a triple threat match. And if Alex Riley is victorious, then neither Dean Ambrose nor Sami Zayn will get an Intercontinental title shot, as long as Miz is Intercontinental Champion. But if Dean Ambrose wins, then he gets a title shot. If Sami Zayn wins, he gets a title shot against The Miz at WrestleMania. let me rephrase that. If Sammy wins, it's a triple threat match. Because Dean has his rematch clause. So either way, Dean will get his title shot, but if Dean wins the triple threat, Alex Riley is barred from ringside for the match at WrestleMania. And now we move to the main event. Now we move to the main event. Seth Rollins, John Cena. And Seth is victorious after a distraction by Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens allows Seth to defeat John Cena in the main event tonight. Excuse me. In the main event. But we don't end there, as Seth and Owens attack Cena. Leave him down and out, or so we thought. But then Randy Orton comes running in and saves John Cena from a serious beating, as the two veterans, the Viper and the face that runs the place, stand tall over Rollins and Owens as Raw goes off the air for this week. But it's a stare down, but Raw ends in a stare down as Rollins and Orton, Owens and Cena face off to end Raw as we head to the network special this weekend. Wow. We finish with a 75 final rating, and the show actually increased our popularity in 19 regions, so I call that a success for the final episode of Raw before the network special this weekend. As far as the network special goes, you will find out more matches set for the special Thursday on SmackDown, and also maybe you will find out some WrestleMania information at the network special, but for that you'll have to tune into the network special, which is 2 videos away, so keep an eye on the channel until then. And if you like the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this that you can only find right here at Wrestling Express. Till next time, later.